Welcome to another edition of Green is Good. This is the Hollywood edition of Green is Good with my friend and co-host, Deborah Levin. Debbie's the president of the Environmental Media Association. It's such an honor to have with us today for the first time on Green is Good. Susan Feniger, welcome to Green is Good.
Thank you.
Such an honor to have you with us today. And we're at the SLS Hotel, by the way, where SLS stands for SLS Loves Sustainability.
I just wanted to jump in because I wanted to introduce Susan, because Susan and I have known each other for 15 years, and you were my first chef for the Emma Awards, the first time that we did it in 2000. Amazing.
Yeah, and it was way small back then.
It was way
right?
small, and you were like my celebrity crush, and I thought if I could possibly get Susan and Mary Sue to cook for the first time that I did the Emma Awards, I would have made it. And then, we're going on 16 this year.
Yeah, really.
Which is incredible. And I mean, you guys are just the most wonderful, amazing, philanthropic, most incredible people, and like the best chefs.
Gosh,
by the way, and the greenest.
Is there more to the show now?
No, that's it. That's it.
But I do want to say the other thing is my very special program, the Emma School Garden program. You guys are our only chefs that were associated with this, and you help us every year.
It's a fantastic. I mean, that's just inspiring for us when we go to the garden. It's like, it's inspirational, and it makes you feel like, oh my God,
it's so beautiful.
Any little bit we can do
to be
involved is
fantastic. Because we do actually do a luncheon once a year where Susan and Mary Sue, we gather the veggies and herbs from all the schools, and they cook lunch for all the kids and the celebrities and the parents and the teachers. And it's the luncheon that you cry because it's just so beautiful every year.
It's so sweet. It's
so
really
sweet.
And you see this incredible garden. It makes me realize what a horrible gardener I am.
Oh, yeah, well, don't
that's the three of us.
Yes.
I mean, but for our listeners and viewers out there, to find Susan's great work, you got to go to www.bordergrill.com.
Yes.
Let's be honest now. 30. It's been a hell of a journey.
It's been a long time, for sure.
And you were really a celebrity chef with Mary Sue before there was even the Top Chef craze and all that other stuff was going on. And Emeril Lagasse, you were Too Hot Tamales. Yeah,
we were there when Food Network first started. We taped, I think, 470 shows or something. We did when Food Network first started, we were on 6 times a day, 7 days a week. So we'd walk through the streets of New York, and the firemen would be like, "Hey, there's Too Hot Tamales." We felt that we were big celebrities. Yeah.
I remember just the humble beginnings of going to your restaurant as a special night out for my wife and I and our children, and you're much beyond Santa Monica. Share with our listeners and viewers a little bit of the journey of starting humbly here in Southern California,
right,
and where you are now.
Well, I mean, I still feel like I do the same thing. I end up at the dish station, I end up bussing tables, but beyond that.
Beyond
that. I mean, we opened our very first restaurant in 81.
Unreal.
Called City Cafe, and then we had literally a hot plate and 2 hibachis in the parking lot out back and 1 double door refrigerator. And we literally had to call Wolf. So he would call his produce company and say, you have to deliver them like 3 cucumbers a day if that's what they need. So that was like...
that's where I found you.
At City Cafe?
To go to City, yeah.
Yeah. And then we opened our larger restaurant, City, and put a tandoori oven in ourselves.
Unbelievable.
And then we opened Border Grill in Santa Monica in 90, which is still there.
And that was it. That was the beginning of the whole.
It was, and then we did, Good Food. We started to show Good Food on KCRW, and then did Food Network when it first started, Too Hot Tamales and Tamales World Tour, and then opened Border Grill downtown, Border Grill Las Vegas at Mandalay Bay, Mud Hen Tavern up in Hollywood. Now another Border Grill at the Forum Shops, Border Grill trucks, Border Grill at the airport.
How do you do it and maintain the unbelievable tasty, yummy food that you make that's also sustainable and also high quality and get, more than just one restaurant? How do you do that now?
Yeah, I mean, you work long days.
Yeah.
You're definitely, I mean, I think both Mary Sue and I are very hands-on. We always have been very hands-on. And, I think we have a great team of people that work with us. And I think what we tried, I think I've always been political, even when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
And so I think, there's just important issues to us. And we sort of use that platform with that. We have like 500 employees now. It's crazy. It's totally crazy. Compared to our very first restaurant that was literally 9 tables. So,
do you both feel that you're as creative, if not more creative than ever right now in this period in your life?
Well, that's a bit, it's interesting what happens. I think what happens is, as you grow and your business becomes more about running the business, as well as I try to really make a point of staying hands-on and involved and going to the farmers markets and being sort of in there in the kitchen with our team. But I think, the creative process changes and you start to expand what you do and you get more involved with the things that are interesting to you and you try to keep your chefs motivated and inspired by those things. So, I think for example, when we do the Emma Awards, when we go and do when we go to the garden, we try to get our team, our chefs, and our managers excited about what we're doing and why we're doing it. And I think part of our role is to have our team be inspired too. So as they grow older, they decide to give back. I grew up in a Midwest Jewish family, and literally, from the time I was a kid, it was about giving back. My family was always about how do you give back. And so I grew up sort of with that in mind, for sure.
Right.
And where you're in terms of the sustainability and looking for more organic and local, did that evolve, do you think, or was that something like you guys woke up one day and were like, oh my God, we have to do this?
No, I think it definitely evolved, for sure. And there's many people who do it better than we do. There's no question about it. We, take baby steps and feel like each step you can take is good.
Yeah.
And important. And I think
but you guys have been doing this for a long time.
We have.
Yeah.
I think our very first probably real sort of diving into it as a business was back, this was in the mid 80s, and we were driving down to Chino Farms and decided that was way too long of a drive to be spending 2 hours to drive down there. And we ended up developing a relationship with the Vets Garden with the Veteran Hospital. They had a garden in Brentwood, 15 acres, and they were growing all organic produce, and it was a horticulture therapy program that they were doing. We started working with them, and they started growing things for us like Mizuna, and I brought back mustard seeds from India, and then they sprouted mustard seeds, and the vets would pick it, they would wash it, bring it to us, and then ask us how much we wanted to pay for it. So it was just one of those great relationships. And I think that got us thinking about more and more about how cool it was. Because here we were getting things that were being picked 5 minutes from our restaurant and being brought over to our restaurant. So that got us, I think, involved probably initially. And then we started working with Santa Monica Farmers Market very early on. And I think there we developed relationships with farmers and saw the importance of it and how it could motivate our team. And, then I think in the early 90s, I was one of the founding members with Chefs Collaborative, which was using, there were maybe 10 of us, and they wanted to use chefs as the spokespeople to be able to, how do you, as spokespeople, as chefs, relate to your customers and to the public about eating healthier, about buying locally, about trying to protect our environment. So this was back in the early 90s.
Wow.
And then we've been working with Debbie for 15 years. And we've been working
Since you've been there.
Yeah. And we've been partners with Monterey Bay Aquarium for the last 15 years or 13 years, and their Seafood Watch program to save the ocean. I've been working with One Drop, One Night, One Drop, which is the Cirque fundraiser they do to try to create clean water around the world as much as possible. And
so Susan, you and Mary Sue, though, are true celebrities, not only in the chef sense, but celebrities. And you have a big platform. You have, like you said, 500 employees, lots of properties around the United States. So you have a big voice. How does food, politics, and sustainability converge for you to make the world a better place and be an activist in the issues that are important to you and Mary Sue?
Well, I mean, the great thing that we have is that everybody wants to eat. I mean, people love to eat. They see it as entertainment. They see it, I mean, obviously, if you just look at the pure pleasure part of it, chefs have gotten this great platform for being a voice. And
Right.
it just depends on how you as a chef
Right.
use that
Right.
voice. And I think both Mary Sue and I, and also my partner at Mud Hen Tavern, Sasha Alger, we feel that it's important that we speak out about the things that are important to us.
Right.
And therefore, I think important to the people that work for us, because I think really they feel great then about who they're working for and what we stand for. So I think, you know, what happens is that you get certain things like at the Emma event. Like, for an example, it's a great place where people can go. They can have a fantastic time.
Right.
They eat fabulous food, and yet there's a message there about why this is important.
Right.
And so I think when you combine food and entertainment, but there's a strong message, it's a great way to be able to get people educated without sort of forcing them to sit in a lecture. They just sort of, it becomes part of their, you know, the evening. And I think it is a great way to, at fundraisers like that, where people become excited about the event and then they get moved by the important message.
You've proved that you can do well, but also do good along the way.
Absolutely. I think that, you know, there's certainly challenges. I mean, I think one of the challenges in running a business is, you know, of course, we always look at top line and bottom line.
Right.
And there's no question. I think one of the challenges, like, for example, all of the meat that we serve is all antibiotic free, hormone free. It's all, you know, all of the fish that we serve is all sustainable. You know, our rice and beans are organic. All that. We recycle our oil to fuel some of our truck
Right.
elements. And, you know, we recycle our oil and use it as soap in the restaurant. So lots of those things are really, they're great for us as things, something we believe in. But there are certainly costs involved.
Right.
And you do have to make a choice, for sure. You have to make a choice. Something may cost more, which it does.
Right.
You know, but what will happen is the more and more people that get behind this, the more competition there'll be and the more things will come into line. Trans fat oil will become less expensive. GMO-free oil will become not twice as expensive, but maybe a third. And then, you know, it'll just keep dropping. So,
Right.
But, you know, all of us make decisions in our life about what's the right thing to do.
What's the next step? I mean, you and Mary Sue don't have any intentions on retirement, doesn't seem like.
No, not, you know, at the moment.
So what, you know, where do you take this kind of active, you know, how you are working with sustainability, of course, with food and with politics, and take it to the next level now to activate change?
Well, I think, you know, we both try to be out there and be and speak about the things that we believe in. I think,
Yeah.
And I think we also feel if we can get our staff to, I mean, let me give you a perfect example, like, you know, the water issue.
Right.
You know, so we now in our restaurants, you know, we do the triple distillation either through Natura or through
Right.
whatever. So that we stopped at one point, you know, selling bottled water. And so for our team, that's a huge negative in some ways, because now their their bonus is based on sales and blah, 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 and all that. So you really have to be the spokesperson to get them emotionally attached to why are we doing that.
so
Now, of course, we have
interesting.
another struggle here in LA because of
Right,
the water
right.
shortage.
Water
So that's
shortage.
another, you know, how do you address it? But I think, you know, we want to always make sure we try to get as many staff as we can to come and work events so they can hear the message and they can understand why is it important. And, you know, people sometimes say, you know, you don't want to be too political in your restaurants. We, of course, believe the opposite.
Right.
We feel like you have to be political, and that's what we would do, because otherwise, who wants to do that?
But people love you because of what you stand for, like you said earlier.
And how much do you talk about how you guys both live personally with your homes, with solar and with you both live very, very green in your own homes. How much is that known in terms of the public, and how much do you talk about that?
It's interesting. It probably doesn't come up as much as it could.
Like, I know this.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. It probably doesn't come up as much as it could. I mean, we have our whole house is solar, and I think that's been that is an investment that one has to make. But
Sure.
we of course feel like it's the smartest thing to do. We have one full electric car and one hybrid car. We should probably ride our bicycles more, but we don't. But I have a garden. Mary Sue has a garden. We we think about. I mean, we do at our house. We probably eat almost 95% of a vegetarian diet. I mean, I love meat. I grew up in Ohio, but I love meat. But I think there's all the consequences. Obviously, the health issues about what you eat and what you don't.
Right.
We eat all organic at home. We go to the farmers market all the time. So, what I think Mary Sue is very similar.
And so,
to that.
don't you think that is really a great thing to support what you're doing in the restaurants for your employees?
Yes.
To sort of.
For sure.
Right, in terms
For
of
sure.
saying, these are the reasons, and we are doing this at home, and this is to role model what we're trying to do in terms
Great
of
point.
our message.
Yeah, there's no question. I think, what you have to do is always be understanding about what, for some people and what's involved and makes it challenging to do that. And so we try to always encourage, whether it's with our public, when we're teaching classes, when we're on the radio, whatever it is that, do a little bit. Like, take that one step, do Meatless Monday,
Right.
or do, or try to think about an 80-20 diet. We have that on our menu at all the restaurants, where it's 80% plant-based, 20%, not. And we try to encourage people and try to bring in different grains that they may never have eaten and tried. And I think through that, and people loving, like at Mud Hen, so many people get all the vegetarian dishes, and they're not vegetarians, they're not vegan necessarily, but as long as you can create food that's interesting and exciting, I think you send the message indirectly, and then you have to reinforce it with talking about it.
We're almost at the end today, Susan. If Debbie and I could go to dinner tonight with you and Mary Sue, and geography didn't matter, money didn't matter, and it couldn't be one of your restaurants.
Yeah.
Who's doing food in a way that's really exciting, that you want to show us, and that you're excited to eat yourself tonight?
Oh
Anywhere,
my gosh.
anywhere else in the U.S.
How are you going to put that out there? Who am I going to say?
Where should we go? Just for fun. It's not the last place.
Well, let's go to India.
India.
That's a good idea.
Let's go.
And eat on the street.
Really? You like street
Yeah.
food, India? It's really cool.
I do. I mean, I do love that. I think it's of course it's the flavor profiles that I love, but
Interesting.
I don't,
All sorts of stuff like that.
yeah,
would be
there's,
great.
yeah, I can't say one person.
yeah.
That'd be killed to say that.
Border Grill, bordergrill.com. Susan, last plugs. What do you want to plug before we sign off today? You've spent 25 minutes with us today sharing your journey in both food and sustainability. I want to share any message you want to share with our listeners and our viewers today.
I think it's really important for the public to support the restaurants and the community that are doing things that they believe in.
Yeah.
And so, I love it when we do an event where people see Border Grills there, Mud Hens there, and then those people in turn, end up at one of our restaurants. That's great. But really, I think, it's about young chefs that are coming in. We have a great voice, and I think the more we can do to educate the culinary schools and have those young kids think about their message and going forward, so that we save our oceans, that we save our environment, that our health system gets better because we're taking care of our body through what we eat. That those are the messages that are important to get out there.
You're a legend and an icon, and it's a true honor to have you on our show today. I mean, honest to good God.
Thank you.
So, and Debbie Levin and I say thank you so much for joining us. To learn more about Susan and Mary Sue's great restaurant and all the great work they're doing in sustainability and beyond in food, please go to www.bordergrill.com. We're at the SLS Hotel today, who are so kind to host us. SLS stands for SLS Loves Sustainability. Susan Feniger, you are truly living proof that
Thank you.
green is good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Deb.